Part 3. Middle class crisis since 2015. Canada's middle class has faced increasing economic pressures and life challenges, presenting a multifaceted crisis. Stagnant incomes and growing inequality, slow wage growth. Despite overall economic growth, the real wage growth of the middle class has lagged far behind the inflation rate. Widening wealth gap. In the second quarter of 2024, the income gap between the top 40% and bottom 40% of households reached a historical high of 47 percentage points. Spiraling cost of living. Housing prices surge. From 2015 to 2024, the national average home price increased from 401,143 Canadian dollars to CAD 685,230, a rise of 70.8%. Rent pressure. Over the same period, rent increased from an average of CAD 934 per month to CAD 2024, a staggering increase of 116.7%. Food price inflation. From 2015 to 2023, the food price index rose by 27.9%. Increased tax burden. Federal tax revenue increased from 295 billion Canadian dollars in 2015 to 432 billion Canadian dollars in 2023, a 46.4% increase, adding to the tax burden on the middle class. Economic uncertainty. Global economic fluctuations and trade wars affect job stability. The post-pandemic economic recovery is uneven, with the middle class benefiting little. Decreased social mobility, reducing opportunities for individuals to improve their quality of life through personal effort, leading to the solidification of social classes. The rising cost of higher education limits educational opportunities for middle-class children. Mental health pressures. Economic pressures and declining quality of life lead to greater mental health challenges for the middle class. From 2015 to the present, the crisis facing Canada's middle class has intensified. Factors such as stagnant incomes, soaring living costs, and increased work pressure have collectively led to a decline in the quality of life and instability in the socioeconomic status of the middle class. This trend not only affects current middle-class families, but may also have long-term effects on the opportunities and social mobility of the next generation. Addressing this crisis requires comprehensive policy support, including improving income distribution, controlling the rise in living costs, and optimizing tax policies to rebuild the economic security and social status of the middle class. Part 4. Imbalance in housing and immigration policies and soaring crime rates. Immigration and housing shortage. Since 2015, Canada has accepted about 1.3 million temporary residents and refugees. However, the government has not effectively planned for adequate housing resources, leading to a rapid increase in housing prices and rents. The growth rate of rent has exceeded 116%, rising from CAD 934 in 2015 to CAD 2024 in 2024. The government's failure to respond in time to the growing population needs has exacerbated the housing crisis, especially in major cities, where many people can't even afford basic housing costs. Due to high housing prices, an increasing number of young people are being forced out of the real estate market. Additionally, in recent years, more and more international students have entered Canada through study permits. However, Canada does not conduct criminal record checks on many study permit holders, allowing individuals with criminal backgrounds to enter the country. This issue, combined with Canada's lenient punishment for criminal acts, directly leads to an increase in crime rates. Lack of criminal record checks. Most study permit applicants are not required to provide proof of a clean criminal record, meaning potential criminals from various countries may enter Canada through this channel. This not only increases the risk to public safety but also provides opportunities for organized crime groups. This situation reduces the sense of community safety and increases the burden on the police and judicial systems. Insufficient punishment. Canada's handling of certain crimes is relatively lenient, especially in the case of non-violent crimes and some lower-level offenses, where legal punishments may be lighter. This relatively tolerant attitude, particularly towards first-time or minor offenses, may lead criminals to believe that the consequences of crime are not severe, thus increasing the likelihood of reoffending. Rising crime rates. Due to insufficient entry check and lenient treatment of criminal acts, Crime rates in many areas have risen significantly. The increase in property crime, violent crime, and drug-related crime in recent years is particularly concerning. This situation has sparked widespread questioning of Canada's immigration policies, especially regarding whether stricter scrutiny of study permit holders is needed and whether more severe punishments should be imposed for certain criminal acts. Part 5. Extravagant waste by leadership. Trudeau government's extravagant spending. Since taking office in 2015, Trudeau has been widely criticized for excessive vacations and wasteful spending. He took 680 days of vacation in the first 8 years of his term, nearly 2 years. The extravagant spending of Trudeau and his government officials has become a focal point of concern for the Canadian public, especially against the backdrop of intensifying inflation and living cost crises. Trudeau's high vacation expenses. Trudeau's vacation expenses have sparked widespread controversy. In particular, in 2023, his trip to a private villa in Jamaica involved a 6-day trip with food costs alone amounting to $3 million Canadian dollars, not including other related expenses. The in-flight meal cost was $200,000 Canadian dollars, extremely extravagant and wasteful, especially when many ordinary Canadians are struggling with economic difficulties. Other government officials' expenses. It's not just Trudeau. Other high-ranking government officials have also been accused of excessive spending. For example, the expenses related to many government ministers' foreign visits are also very high, especially in terms of accommodation and entertainment, often opting for expensive 5-star hotels and high-end restaurants. In 2022, Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland's trip cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. For the fiscal year 2022 to 2023, the federal government's total spending on travel, hospitality, and conferences reached CAD $839 million. This is an increase of nearly $300 million Canadian dollars from the previous year. Specific expenditure items. The government spent CAD $267 million on hotel accommodations. Transportation costs, such as airline tickets, amounted to CAD $213 million. Catering costs were $76 million Canadian dollars. The previous Harper government in the fiscal year 2014-2015, travel, hospitality, and conference expenses totaled $512 million Canadian dollars. Since the Trudeau government took office in 2015, the government's travel and hospitality expenses have increased significantly. By the fiscal year 2022-2023, it had increased to CAD $839 million. These figures reflect the significant increase in public spending by the Trudeau government, especially in the travel and hospitality expenses of senior officials. This level of spending has raised public questions about the government's financial management and the efficiency of public fund use.